Part 4. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 31. The engine of the Falcon helicopter was still roaring, the rotor hadn't completely stopped, and the wind was howling on the ground. Xiaopinghan had already got off the plane with his satchel, hunched over, and walked quickly towards the outside of the tarmac. In Xiaopinghan's satchel, there were only his black Cobra steel whip and a change of clothes. Outside the tarmac, there was a man with silver hair wearing a black windbreaker, his hands in his pockets, waiting for Xiaopinghan. Although young Master Mo Yan also likes to wear black trench coats, the silver-haired man wearing a black trench coat makes people feel cooler, and the contrast between black and white is even stronger. In the strong wind of the helicopter's rotors, a man with silver hair flying around his head had an indescribable smell, like a devil or an angel descending on the world. The man was very handsome, with cold eyes, and was very young. He seemed not much older than Xiaopinghan, but at the same time, his aura was also very powerful. Xiaopinghan walked over, and the helicopter behind him took off again and returned to the headquarters of the National Order Committee in Xianghe City. "Are you Xiaopinghan?" the silver-haired man asked directly. Yes, seeing that the guy had his hands in his pockets and had no intention of shaking hands, Xiaopinghan was not polite. "I don't want to waste time, so let's do it together. My name is Yan Duo. Young Master Mo Yan must have told you about this mission, right?" Director Mo only said that this is a special mission. He asked me to come with a steel whip and follow your arrangements. He didn't say anything else. My time is also very precious and I don't want to waste it. So, if there is any mission today, I will do it now. It's time to start. Seeing Xiaopinghan being so straightforward, the man's eyes flashed, and a cold and arrogant smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Yan Duo looked at the time on his watch. "Very good, I like straightforward people, you can come with me now. Well, the mission starts now, and I will tell you what the mission is when we get to the destination." Xiaopinghan nodded and followed the man towards the distance. The headquarters of the State Order Committee in Yizhou Province is larger than the one in Xianghe City. It is also a black cube building, but the scale of the building here is larger, and the garrison of the military base behind the building has an entire rapid reaction division stationed here. The military base was buzzing with vehicles, and helicopters, drones, and fighter jets were whizzing overhead from time to time. It looked very busy. There was a military airport directly inside the base. Yan Duo did not take Xiaopinghan to the headquarters. Instead, he went to the parking lot, got into a black Audi Q7, and drove out of the headquarters quickly. Xiaopinghan had brought Xianing to Xinquan City before. As the provincial capital, Xinquan was more prosperous. Xiaopinghan didn't know where Yan Duo was taking him, so he just waited quietly in the car. The black Audi Q7 drove into the urban area of Xinquan City. Lingyo shuttled among the traffic and buildings on the street. Half an hour later, the black Audi Q7 drove into the underground parking of an old-looking building. Field, stopped in a secluded corner on the second floor of the building. Yan Duo turned off the engine, opened the armrest box next to him, took out something from the armrest box and threw it to Xiaopinghan. "Put this on first." Xiaopinghan picked up the thing and took a look. What Yan Duo threw over was a blood-red hood. The top of the hood was pointed. There were only 2 holes in the hood for the eyes, which could expose the 2 eyes. This hood was clearly something worn by executioners and executioners in ancient Europe. Xiaopinghan didn't say anything, just frowned. "What are you doing?" Yan Duo looked at his watch again. "You have 2 minutes to prepare. After 2 minutes, bring your steel whip. I will take you into an underground fighting arena here and arrange a life and death fight for you using weapons. Your opponent is a scumbag, but that scumbag has just returned from abroad. He is a bloodthirsty pedophile and rapist. He has committed many crimes in Asia and Africa. He should have died long ago. He is only alive for various reasons. You are the most suitable person we can find right now, so for a moment, you have two choices, either kill him in a fight or be killed by him. If you are afraid, you can leave now and the mission will be considered a failure. Damn it! Xiaopingan knew before coming here that this mission might be special, but he didn't expect that this special training would be so special. It would be an extreme mission, a test of life and death, and he would have to fight against perverts. Young Master Mo Yan really chooses tasks for himself. Is the Order Committee still responsible for dealing with these scum? Xiaopingan asked. Haha, this is not a treatment, this is an execution. Yan Duo smiled coldly. We have no control over what such scum does abroad, but Yan country is not the place where such scum should come. The customs and police cannot handle it. We come and handle it. The Order Committee has much more responsibilities than you think. Xiaopingan stopped talking. He opened his salute, took out the Black Cobra's steel whip, and then put on the blood-red executioner's hood. Yan Duo took out another silver metal mask with a strange pattern and put it on his face. Then he got out of the car and walked towards the elevator not far away with Xiaopingan. When he reached the elevator door, Yan Duo raised his head and glanced at the monitor at the elevator door. The elevator opened automatically. The two entered the elevator. The elevator automatically went down 2 floors and then stopped. The elevator door opened again. Outside was a walkway covered with red carpet. 4 strong men in black suits stood together holding hands as they entered the shelter. Security gate doorway. Everything here feels like a hidden and mysterious underground club. A big man stepped forward and took out a metal scanner. He checked Yan Duo and Xiaopingan and confirmed that they did not carry any firearms. After confirming that there were no firearms on the two of them, a big man next to them said something into the headset, and the security door suddenly opened, allowing the two to enter. After the two people entered, the security door was closed again. An old white man with blonde hair and blue eyes wearing an evening gown stood behind the door with a smile, saluted Yan Duo and stroked his chest, and said in pure Chinese, "Mr. Number 9, welcome. He is the manager of this death arena, you can call him Charlie." Yan Duo introduced the old white man to Xiaopingan. "Ah, I'm just a poor old man who lost his country and hometown." The old man named Charlie whispered. Yan Duo then pointed at Xiaopingan, "This is the person I brought today." The death arena in Xinquan City was the first time Xiaopingan had heard of this place. Just by hearing the name, he knew that this place would not be legal and should be an underground organization. However, the Order Committee dealt with illegal organizations, so for this place, Xiaopingan was not surprised at all. A city as big as Xinquan cannot be clean everywhere. Where there is light, there is darkness, and the same applies to everything. "Are you British?" Xiaopingan asked. The old man's temperament reminded Xiaopingan of those old-school British butlers, so Xiaopingan asked. Since the complete fall of the British Isles in the last century, many British people have been exiled around the world and have become people who have lost their country and hometown. "Well, you are very perceptive. My hometown has become a paradise for monsters full of nuclear radiation. We people have become duckweeds and can't go back," Charlie sighed, and then looked at Xia again. "The weapon in Ping An's hand, you use a steel whip?" "Yes, use a steel whip," Xiaopingan nodded. "This steel whip is a sight to behold. Very few people fight with people with steel whips. Those gentlemen and ladies will like it?" "Okay, then I'll leave him to you," Yan Duo said to Charlie, and then told Xiaopingan, "Just follow him. Charlie will arrange the rest. You only need to be responsible for playing and winning. Don't worry about anything else." Xiaopingan nodded, and Charlie led Xiaopingan towards a nearby passage, while Yan Duo walked towards the other side. After walking through a long passage and opening a security door again, Xiaopingan's ears were suddenly filled with deafening cheers and noises. A hot breath came to my face. In the hot breath, there was the smell of alcohol, high-end perfume, cigar, and a faint smell of blood and sweat. These smells mixed with the noise are stimulating the adrenaline of everyone who enters here. What appeared in front of Xiaopinggan was a huge, brightly lit underground arena. Old Charlie took Xiaopinggan to the backstage on the second floor of the underground arena. From here, you can see the entire underground arena. This underground arena is larger than a basketball stadium. In the middle of the venue is a huge octagonal fighting cage covering an area of more than 200 square meters. The fighting cage is surrounded by stands, which are densely packed with people. There were both men and women in the audience in the stands, but both men and women were well dressed in terms of clothing. Most of the men were in suits and leather collars, and the women were also wearing high-end clothes, some with jewels. All the audience's faces were wearing different silver masks, and no one showed their true face. In the surrounding stands, there are booths one after another. On those booths, there are men hugging hot women, smoking cigars, roaring and cheering. On the four sides of the stand are four huge display screens. The pictures on the display screens are exactly the fighting scenes in the gladiatorial cage. At this moment, in the gladiatorial cage, a man wearing a black leather hood covering his face, who looked like he was from Asia based on his skin color, was fighting with bare hands against a tall, strong black man wearing a blue hood. The black man in the cage had strong muscles and a tall body, and his punches and kicks were extremely powerful. However, the man from Asia was not afraid at all and used fierce Muay Thai kicks and kicks to fight the black man head-on. The two men were covered in blood, but they were still fighting. The audience in the stands were cheering and shouting, and their blood was boiling with excitement from the fighting in the field. Charlie took Xiaopinggan to a quiet lounge backstage. "You rest here to warm up. When this fight is over, fight again. When you hear the whip of punishment coming on stage, you go out with your steel whip. Your opponent calls the bear butcher. In addition to the steel whip, in addition to the whip, you also have the right to choose a defensive shield. When you go on stage, you can only wear one pair of pants. Let the audience see the muscles of your upper body, and let them see that you have nothing but the muscles on your hands. Apart from weapons, there is nothing else hidden on his body, understand?" Charlie explained to Xiaopinggan. Xiaopinggan nodded. After Charlie left, Xiaopinggan was waiting in the lounge. From this lounge, you could see what was going on inside the venue. A few minutes later, the Muay Thai man kicked the black man's calf from the side with a ferocious leg sweep. The moment the black man fell to the ground, the Muay Thai man made a swift flying knee and directly hit the black man with his knee. On the face. The face of the big black man suddenly became flat, and a splash of blood exploded from his face. His neck bones were broken, and his head tilted to one side. He suddenly fell to the ground in the fighting cage motionless. He was not dead or seriously injured, but there was a pool of bright red. The blood spread quickly on the ground. The Muay Thai man raised his fists and roared in the octagon. The staff in the arena quickly entered the fighting cage and lifted the black man out. "I declare that this time, the jungle tiger from Thailand wins." The referee came into the field with a microphone and raised the hand of the Muay Thai man. Cheers and sighs rang out from the auditorium outside the venue at the same time. Some people in the booths opened champagne excitedly, while others threw their gambling coupons down in disappointment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 32. Xiaopinggan slowly did warm-up exercises in the room. While doing exercises, he paid attention to the situation on the court and waited for his next game. With his remote viewing ability activated, he saw Yanzhou, wearing a mask, appearing in a box on the high platform opposite the arena, looking down at the arena. Yan Duo took a distant look at the lounge where he was. Several blonde beauties with long legs and slim waists in swimsuits entered the gladiatorial cage holding several signs with shields and swords on them. Seeing these signs appear, the atmosphere in the entire arena changed. Suddenly it became noisy. A male host wearing a shiny black evening gown entered the gladiatorial cage and was introducing the upcoming competition in an infectious voice. Gentlemen and ladies, what follows is the most exciting and cruel weapon battle that everyone has been waiting for. The first person to take the stage is Jack the Wild Wolf from Europe. The spotlight in the venue hit a passage, and a white man wearing a wolf head mask, holding a shield and a mace walked out of the passage, raising his hands high, showing off his strong muscles, while welcoming cheers from the stadium. Wolf Jack is a formidable killing machine. His record of weapon fighting in the death arena is 23 games, 19 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss. The only defeat made him lie in bed for half a year. After recovering from injury, Wolf Jack became more like a bloodthirsty wolf. In the second game after recovering from injury, he set the fastest kill record in his history, 15 seconds. Although Wolf Jack is an old man in the death arena, we still follow the competition rules of the competition. Before entering the gladiatorial cage, Wolf Jack needs to undergo a boundary bead fusion test. This test is to ensure that he can enter the gladiatorial cage. None of them are summoners, this is a fair duel between non-summoners. Wild Wolf Jack rushed to the gladiatorial cage. Outside the gladiatorial cage, he bit his finger and dripped 2 drops of blood on a blue ball with a diameter of more than 20 centimeters. The blue ball lasted a few seconds. The bell emits blue light. After testing the crystal ball of the altar, Wolf Jack is still Wolf Jack. There is no condensed altar. Welcome Wolf Jack to enter. Wild Wolf Jack roared wildly, and was the first to enter the gladiatorial cage with his mace and shield. He held up the weapons and shields in his hands, roared wildly, showed off his muscles, and walked back and forth in the gladiatorial cage. Like a wild wolf patrolling his territory. The one who is going to play next is the Blood Warrior from Japan. The Blood Warrior is a martial arts practitioner who walks on the edge of life and death. His record of weapon fighting in the death arena is 11 games, 11 wins, and he has no defeat so far. In the passage on the other side, a man carrying 2 samurai swords, one long and one short, and wearing a white Japanese Hanya mask, calmly walked out of the passage. The naked upper body of the man named Blood Warrior was covered with tattoos and various scars. The tattoos and scars were mixed together, giving the man named Blood Warrior a special aura. When he came to the altar crystal ball, the Blood Warrior took out his short knife, quickly cut a thin wound on one of his fingers, and dripped 2 drops of blood on the altar crystal ball. The altar crystal the ball lights up blue. Welcome the Blood Warrior to enter. The Blood Warrior enters the gladiatorial cage. The host and the beauties holding signs exited the cage. The iron door in the cage was closed. Blood Warrior and Wolf Jack each stood in a corner of the cage, staring at each other with death eyes. Wolf Jack also made a throat-cutting motion on the Blood Warrior. The 180-second countdown began on the electronic display in the stadium. Gentlemen and ladies, there are still 3 minutes left. Please place your bets as soon as possible. This will be a wonderful showdown. People in the surrounding stands and boxes began to place bets at this time. When the 180-second countdown passed, Jack the Wolf and the Blood Warrior in the gladiatorial cage rushed toward each other at the same time, and the bloody fight began. Wolf Jack may seem rude, but the combination of the mace and shield in his hand is very methodical and not reckless. Moreover, the mace in Wolf Jack's hand is very powerful when swung. Every attack makes the Blood Warrior stunned. Does not dodge or block. The Blood Warrior is superior because of his nimbleness, and the 2 swords in his hands are strange and fierce. Just a few minutes later, the 2 men began to have blood on their bodies. This is the dangerous part of fighting with weapons. In a hand-to-hand encounter, no one can escape unscathed at all times. If you get hit or rubbed, you will either die or be injured. The Blood Warrior's left shoulder and arm were scraped with several bloody grooves by the mace. Jack the Wolf was stabbed in the thigh. Because of the injury on his shoulder, the Blood Warrior's attacks became a little slow, and half of his hand was considered useless. Jack the Wolf is like a wolf with a lame leg. His movements are also restricted and he is no longer as flexible as before. 10 minutes later, the entire gladiatorial cage was covered with blood. The blood warrior's short knife stabbed into Wolf Jack's lower abdomen, and the tip of the knife came out from Wolf Jack's back. Before the blood warrior could drag the knife across, Wild Wolf Jack rushed forward like a hungry wolf, grabbed the handle of the knife, and at the same time swung the mace in his hand, smashing the mace directly into the blood warrior's thigh. The blood warrior's entire thigh was twisted and bloody, and both men were covered in scars. They both fell into the gladiatorial cage and were unable to get up. This kind of fighting, just like the fighting on the battlefield, is too brutal. The referee counted for 10 seconds, but no one could stand up. Then the referee declared a draw. The two teams of medical staff quickly rushed to the gladiatorial cage to carry the person away for treatment. Several cleaning staff quickly entered the gladiatorial cage and began to quickly clean the blood on the ground. In just a few minutes, the floor of the gladiatorial cage became clean and brand new again. The male host in a shiny black evening gown and several beauties in swimsuits entered the gladiatorial cage again. Gentlemen and ladies, the fight just now was too fierce, but the next fight will be more interesting. You will see the fight between a newcomer who appears in the death arena for the first time and a bloody butcher. Duel. The male host's first few words had already ignited the curiosity of everyone in the arena. The first one to come on stage is the man-bear butcher. On the other side of the passage, a muscular man wearing a black leather hood, holding a machete and a shield appeared in the spotlight. The man was nearly 2 meters tall, with curls on his bare upper body. The brown chest hair is as thick as wild grass in the forest, like a wild bear. This is the first time that the man-bear butcher has entered the death arena in Guangzhou. Before this, the man-bear butcher has fought many times in death arenas in Europe, Asia, and Africa. He fought with weapons in the death arena. His record is 27 games, 21 wins, 4 draws, and 2 losses. He has a record of killing opponents 19 times. Because of his strong physique, he recovered extremely quickly after being injured twice. In the death arena, he was a man-bear. The butcher is a veritable humanoid tank. During the host's introduction, the man-bear butcher walked to the altar crystal ball, cut his finger with an axe, and dripped blood on the altar crystal ball. After the altar crystal ball lit up with blue light, he was the first to walk in the gladiatorial cage. The next person to take the stage is Punishment Whip, a newcomer in the death arena. This is his first fight in the death arena, and he will face the man-bear butcher right away. The outcome is unpredictable. When the spotlight in the venue hit the exit of the passage, Xiaopingan, holding a black cobra steel whip and wearing an executioner's blood-red hood on his head, had silently walked out of the passage. Xiaopingan did not carry a shield. Under the scorching white spotlight, Xiaopingan's upper body was completely exposed, with strong and masculine muscles. The muscle lines were not exaggerated, they could only be considered well proportioned, and there were no scars on his body. The executioner's blood-red hood that Xiaopingan wore on his head was not conspicuous in a place like this. In this place full of blood and brute force, scars and muscles are the passport. Xiaopingan, who walked out of the passage, looked a little delicate in the eyes of others, just like a girl who was dragged out with a red cloth blindfolded. Lamb to the slaughter. On Xiaopingan's back, where others can't see, the incomparably powerful tattoo of Fudo Mingu covers Xiaopingan's entire back. Flames burn the void, and the blue dragon coils its giant sword, silently. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 33. Seeing Xiaopingan come out, boos suddenly broke out in the arena. The booze also meant that the vast majority of people present were not optimistic about Xiaopingan. Xiaopingan just walked silently to the gladiatorial cage, came to the altar crystal ball, used the special sharp tail like a cobra of the black cobra's steel whip, pricked his finger, and dripped 2 drops of blood to the god on the crystal ball. If Xiaopingan has completely condensed the summoner secret mandala in his body at this moment, he will be able to react with the crystal ball of the altar. However, Xiaopingan is still one short of the divine world bead to condense the altar, so if Xiaopingan's blood drops after going up, the altar crystal ball still glowed with blue light, indicating that Xiaopingan was not a summoner. The whip of punishment is about to enter the gladiatorial cage, and a duel between whip and knife is about to take place. We see that the whip of punishment only has a whip in his hand and no shield, which will put him at a very disadvantage in the next fight. Position: whether this is overconfidence in one's own steel whip or arrogance due to lack of actual combat experience, it will be revealed later. The host's provocative voice echoed in the arena. Xiaopingan had already walked into the arena, and the cage behind him was closed. Gentlemen and ladies, there are still 3 minutes left. Please place your bets as soon as possible. This will be a suspenseful showdown. The 180-second countdown in the fighting arena begins. Boy, this is not the place for a pretty face like you who is suitable for catwalks. I can dismantle your whole body into parts in a while. The man-bear butcher was on the opposite side of the gladiatorial cage, panting. Roughly, he looked at Xiaopingan with bloody eyes. Xiaopingan didn't look at that scumbag. He just lowered his head and looked at the black cobra in his hand with emotion-filled eyes. He gently stroked the diamond pattern on the steel whip with one hand. The black cobra is very heavy, much heavier than it looks. Especially the handle part of this black cobra is exactly like the open neck of the cobra before it attacks. The metal joints are more than 20 centimeters wide. Then, the steel whip narrowed all the way. The metal joints of the entire steel whip are made of platinum and tungsten steel. The density of platinum is heavier than gold. When used here, this seemingly small steel whip can generate the most kinetic energy when swinging. The end of the steel whip is like the tail of a cobra, with a sharp metal cone like a sharp bullet. The metal cone is made of aluminum-titanium alloy, which is light and hard. There is a huge attenuation change in material density and weight between the super heavy whip body of platinum and tungsten steel and the aluminum-titanium alloy material at the tail. In the eyes of ordinary people, it would be difficult to understand the intention of the builder, but for Xiaopingan, he just by looking at it, he knew that this black cobra was indeed a weapon prepared for him. Only in the eyes of a whip master can one appreciate the mystery of the many details on this steel whip. Lao Zhou does have a vision. As the 3-minute countdown in the fighting arena came to an end, the man on the other side, the butcher Xiang, was breathing harder and harder, and his eyes staring at Xiaopingan became more and more cruel, and he was already eager to try. Beep. The end sound of the 3-minute countdown sounded in the venue. The man-bear butcher holding a machete and shield was like a wild bear, protecting his chest with a shield, holding a ferocious machete, and rushed directly towards Xiaopingan, like a mad bull. There were exclamations in the fighting arena, and many people even thought that Xiaopingan would be killed by the man-bear butcher in the next second. At this moment, Xiaopingan finally raised his head and looked at the man-bear butcher who was rushing over, his eyes like swords. As Xiaopingan took one step forward, all the power on his legs, waist, and back was transferred to his hands, and then transferred from his hands to the steel whip. The steel whip of the black cobra in Xiaopingan's hand was whipped out fiercely, like a cobra that jumped out, leaving a black shadow in the air. No one saw the path of the steel whip clearly, but at that moment, the entire fighting arena felt like a bullet was shot out of the gladiatorial cage, making a huge pop sound. The loud noise was eardrum shaking and made everyone the loudspeakers in the fighting arena suddenly dimmed. The man-bear butcher who rushed towards him was still 5 meters away from Xiaopingan. His head had already exploded, and his brains and blood were all over the gladiatorial cage. The man-bear-like body, driven by inertia, rushed forward 2 steps, and then suddenly he knelt on the ground, facing Xiaopinggan, and the machete and shield in his hand fell to the ground. The body with the head exploded knelt quietly for 2 seconds before falling to the ground. The entire fighting arena was silent at this moment, a dead silence. Xiaopinggan, who withdrew the whip, lowered his head and glanced at the tail of the black cobra's steel whip. The tail was not stained with blood and was as clean as new. Also, with that blow just now, the thing in the butcher's head had not had time to get on the black cobra. The tail exploded. After the originally noisy fighting arena was quiet for more than 10 seconds, the huge display screen in the fighting arena began to play the image of Xiaopinggan's whip that had just killed the bear butcher. It was shot with a high-speed camera above the fighting cage. Down screen. The high-speed camera above the gladiatorial cage can capture even the trajectories of bullets and cannonballs. Naturally, it can also capture various scenes of people fighting. On the huge display screen, Xiaopinggan drew out his whip. The black cobra in his hand drew a continuous S-shaped curve in the air, approaching the man-bear butcher. At the speed of the steel whip, the man-bear the butcher's movements were too slow, as if he had been cast on a body-holding spell. The attack route of the steel whip is not a straight line, nor an ordinary curve, but a complex and progressive S-shaped curve. This attack route passes directly through the gap between the shield and the machete in the hand of the man-bear butcher. The tail of the black cobra's steel whip, like a bullet, suddenly accelerated as it approached the man-bear butcher, and shot into the man-bear butcher's eyes, and then the huge kinetic energy completely exploded the man-bear butcher's head. Xiaopinggan used a whip and killed the man-bear butcher in less than 0.5 seconds. The host's voice was so excited that his voice was about to break. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is the whip tip effect, this is the whip tip effect. The picture just captured by the high-speed camera in the gladiatorial cage has been calculated." After that, the speed of the whip tip at the end of the whip exceeded twice the speed of sound. Many people here probably don't know what the whip tip effect is. Let me briefly explain it to you. When the whip is pulled out, its total kinetic energy remains unchanged, but as the whip moves, its total kinetic energy does not change. The kinetic energy will be transferred from the hand to the tip of the whip. As the whip goes from thick to thin, while the total kinetic energy remains unchanged, the mass of the moving part at the end of the whip will become less and less, resulting in the end's movement speed getting faster and faster, and even breaking through the speed of sound. This is the whip tip effect. Only masters who truly use whips can use the tip effect in fighting skills, making the whip the only cold weapon that can break through the speed of sound, and achieve a one-hit kill. This is the shortest and most exciting game I have ever seen. As the host explained, the entire fighting venue suddenly became a sensation. Xiaopinggan, who was wearing the executioner's red hood, had put away the black cobra and silently walked out of the gladiatorial cage. To him, this mission has been completed. The spotlight in the arena once again shone on Xiaopinggan. When Xiaopinggan turned around and left the arena, many people noticed the powerful and majestic aura of the Fudo Mingo tattoo on Xiaopinggan's back. At this time, looking at the red hood of Xiaopinggan, the executioner, everyone felt completely different. It was so crisp and clean, it didn't look like a competition at all, but like an execution. The gladiatorial cage was the guillotine of a man-bear butcher. For some people who know the background and past of Butcher Man-Bear, the feeling at this time is that they are frightened and have some vague speculations. Slowly, the commotion and cheers in the venue gradually calmed down, and the entire venue became quiet again. Everyone watched as the executioner holding a steel whip disappeared at the entrance of the passage. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 34. Xiaopinggan had just finished getting dressed in the lounge when Yan Duo came. "Well done, let's go." Yan Duo gave Xiaopinggan a rare smile, and Xiaopinggan followed him and left the lounge. The two of them left the death arena without any hindrance and took the elevator back to the underground parking lot. They didn't take off the masks on their faces until they got into the car. Yan Duo rushed out of the underground parking lot in his black Q7 and came to the busy street outside, only to see the light of day again. The streets outside are busy with traffic and pedestrians. Various shops in shopping malls and roadside are open for business. There are old men playing chess next to the flower beds on the street, and children are riding bicycles on the sidewalk. Such a scene, compared with the bloodshed and death seen and experienced in the death arena just around the corner, this strong contrast will make people feel that reality is so absurd. Is this death arena tacitly approved by the order committee? Xiaopinggan, who was sitting in the car, asked. The order of the underground world is also order. Yan Duo looked at the road with a calm tone and continued to drive. The history of this death arena is not shorter than that of the order committee. It operates in many countries around the world. Of course, in Dian, the order committee has a cooperative relationship with them. Instead of letting these thrill-seeking rich people in the country fly around the world every day with a lot of cash, girls, and all kinds of confidential information, why not let them go? Stare under our eyes and make it work for me. You can't stop those who die here. If you don't let them die here, they will die somewhere else. This is indeed true. By the way, why did you think of using a whip? Yan Duo asks Xiaopinggan a question. That whip of yours has the power of a bullet within the attack range, which is rare. A whip is a weapon that can maximize the mechanical properties of the weapon, and I'm afraid of death and don't want anyone to get close to me, Xiaopinggan said. Ha ha ha, you are much more interesting than Mo Yanshao, Yan Duo laughed. Let me meet you formally. My name is Yan Duo, captain of the provincial Yanzi battalion. Yanziing. You can understand it as the provincial summoner special mobile team. We are also affiliated with the National Order Committee and have an official status, but at the same time we are relatively free. As long as we complete the designated tasks of the provincial department every year, we are relatively free at other times. I am this. The team's foreman has several brothers who work with me to earn a living, Yan Duo explained. Xiaopinggan nodded and formally introduced himself. Xiaopinggan, a newcomer from the Special Operations Division of the Order Committee of Xianghe City. How about it? You should consider coming to hang out with me. The treatment you get by hanging out with me will definitely be better than that at the Special Operations Office in Xianghe City. Especially after you become a summoner, you will have more chances to get the world beads with me. As long as you come, I will apply for a 2-level increase in your basic salary. You can travel around the world every year and eat and drink. I can get you another world bead before the end of this year. From now on, there will be at least 2 world beads every year. This is what I have given you. Conditions, think about it carefully. Before I came here, Director Mo told me that if you poach someone, I shouldn't believe your lies, and he will come to settle the score with you. Xiaopinggan smiled. Yan Duo laughed and changed the subject. You will know from now on that people who follow me will have a much better time than following Lao Mo. Where are we going now? I'll find a place for you to fuse the God-Human Realm Pearl. Yan Duo did not drive back to the provincial headquarters of the Order Committee, but drove to a high-end villa area on the outskirts of Xinquan City, and finally parked the car outside a very modern villa. Use the key to enter the villa, close the door, enter the elevator in the villa, and arrive at the second negative floor of the villa. Yan Duo directly takes Xiaopinggan to a training room with a safety door. This is where the Order Committee is in Xinquan, a safe house in the city. You can rest assured to integrate here. As he spoke, Yan Duo took out a box from his body and handed it to Xiaopinggan. This is the God-Human World Pearl. It takes the longest time to fuse this World Pearl. It takes about 3 days. What do you have? You can ask me questions. Xiaopinggan suppressed his excitement and gently opened the wooden box. In the wooden box, a colorful world bead lay quietly on the velvet inside. Thick fog rolled inside the boundary bead, and in the thick fog, there were 3 small seal divine characters flashing. Sheneng. It's exactly as I guessed. The Sheneng clan, the so-called God-Human Realm Pearl, is actually the Sheneng clan. The excitement in Xiaoping's heart was hard to describe, but he didn't show it. After taking a closer look at the world bead, he raised his head and looked at Yan Duo. Is there anything I need to pay attention to when fusing this world bead? Well, this world bead is the last world bead among the summoner's 3 foundation building world beads. Once this world bead is successfully fused, the summoner's secret mandala in your sea of consciousness will take shape. You will truly become a summoner that no one can question. The reason why this world bead is called the God-Human World Bead is because after successfully fusing this world bead, you may be able to obtain the benefits provided by this world bead. Character summoning slot to summon some special characters. Who can this world bead summon? Xiaoping asked curiously. This world bead can summon a wide range of characters. Yan Duo said, with a look of reminiscence on his face. Ordinary people can use this world bead to summon farmers who cultivate the fields. This is also the case for most people. Summoners can summon people through this world bead, but some summoners will also summon craftsmen after successfully fusing this world bead. Farmer, craftsman, a farmer who can cultivate the land and a skilled craftsman, Xiaoping asked in shock. Not bad, Yan Duo nodded. These 2 professions are non-combat professions, so you see not many summoners willing to summon these 2 professions. You will understand after successfully integrating this world bead. The farmers summoned by the summoner are no different from ordinary farmers, and are fully capable of responsibilities such as farming and raising poultry. Some summoners have their own farms, and even summon farmers themselves to farm, and the craftsmen summoned by a world bead also have different abilities. So smart. Is this called awesome? Yan Duo smiled faintly. For summoners, this is just the most basic thing, and what I just mentioned is only what ordinary summoners can summon after successfully integrating this world bead. Characters, and some summoners can summon other characters after successfully fusing this world bead. Oh, you can also summon other characters. Yan Duo nodded. A very small number of summoners, after successfully integrating this world bead, can even summon an alchemist who can refine elixirs. When Xiaoping heard this, he was extremely excited, because the characters and artifacts that could be summoned by this God-Human World Pearl happened to correspond to the contributions of the Sheneng clan. According to the legend, Sheneng's contribution to Chinese civilization is mainly reflected in 10 aspects. First, he started farming to benefit the people. Second, he started planting grains to feed the people. Third, he tasted all kinds of herbs and invented medicine. Fourth, the middle of the day was the market, the first to promote trading. The fifth was to make cloth from hemp to protect the body from the cold. The sixth was to make arcs and arrows to resist aggression. The seventh was to make pottery as utensils to store for the people. The eighth was to make harp to entertain the people. The ninth is the first creation of boiled salt to strengthen the body. The 10th is the creation of astronomy and the creation of China's first calendar. Sheneng is known as the ancestor of agriculture, medicine, commerce, music, etc. of the Chinese nation. He has made an indelible and huge contribution to Chinese civilization. Among Sheneng's 10 major contributions, the first 2 contributions of Sheneng correspond to summoning farmers. The third contribution corresponds to summoning the alchemist. The 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th contributions correspond to summoning craftsmen. This means that after the successful fusion of this divine human world bead, it is possible to summon 3 kinds of characters, Xiaoping asked. Yes, this is the reason why the Divine Realm Pearl is called the Divine Realm Pearl. It's just that most people can only summon farmers or craftsmen by integrating this Realm Pearl. There are very few who can summon alchemists through this Realm Pearl. Then how much divine power can this world bead increase after fusion? Usually it's between 16 and 17 o'clock, and the maximum can reach more than 26 o'clock. More than 26 points? Isn't this world bead perfectly integrated? Since ancient times, no one has been able to perfectly fuse the God-human realm pearl. Yan Duo smiled and shook his head. I hope you will perform well today. If you can summon the alchemist after fusing the God-human realm pearl, there is another special ability. After passing this level, you can fuse other world beads in the future. There are not many world beads that can summon more than 2 characters with one successful fusion. The fusion of this divine and human world bead is better. If you succeed, your secret mandala will be able to contain more divine power in the future. Isn't divine power obtained through the boundary pearl? What does it have to do with the capacity of the secret mandala? The divine power obtained from the world beads is like the crops obtained from harvesting crops. They can be harvested once a month, and when your secret mandala is condensed, you will find that each summoner secret mandala is, to some extent, in general, it is equivalent to a warehouse for storing divine power. Every month, you can convert your unused divine power into spells and characters to be summoned and store them in the mandala. You can use summons at critical moments. The bigger this warehouse is, the more you can use it. The stronger your foundation, the more spells and summoned characters you can store in the mandala, and the more they can come in handy at critical moments. Do you understand? Xiaopingan suddenly realized, I understand, so the summoner secret mandala still has such a function. The summoner secret mandala is a secret and trump card that only you can know. You don't need to explain the situation of your mandala to anyone in the future. Okay, thanks for the advice. Is there anything else you want to ask? No more, Xiaopingan shook his head. Then you can fuse here. There is no monitoring equipment in this secret room. I am outside. After you fuse, you can open the door and come out, Yan Duo said, turned around and left the secret room, and opened the door of the secret room. It's closed. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 35. Xiaopingan opened his eyes again and found himself lying in a deep patch of grass. The sky above his head was so blue that it was dazzling, and the clouds were as white as if they had been bleached. Around him were half-person-high foxtail grass, and he had one in his mouth. Xiaopingan suddenly sat up and looked at himself. He was wearing animal skins, bone chains on his wrists and neck, and a very sharp stone sickle hanging around his waist. This is a small hillside near the river. Not far away, there is a large area of tribes and houses. Those houses have been built on the ground and built with soil, wood, and reed strips. There is smoke from cooking in the tribe, and there is a mud pit in the tribe. Countless young people are stepping on the mud with their feet, trampling the mud in the mud pit, and mixing it with the water and the dried grass blades. Some people went between the tribe and the lake, using bamboo tubes to carry water back to the lake, and then fell into the mud puddle. Others took out the trampled mud from the mud pit and placed it in the open space next to them. They used wooden boards to pat the lumps of mud into rough square shapes and let them dry in the sun. There were already a lot of dried mud blocks on the ground. Those dried mud blocks were taken not far away piece by piece, and they were built with those mud blocks and reed strips to build simple new houses. Is this the era of Shenan? The ancient people's house building technology has improved a lot. Xiaopingan looked at the large tribe in the distance. Judging from the number of tribal houses, this tribe had a large population, at least tens of thousands of people. The tribal houses have been moved from the trees to the ground, and the main material for building the houses has become soil. The grass blades and stems in the soil serve as steel bars in the concrete. After drying, the mud bricks become indestructible. Loose again. Some of the people in the tribe wore clothes wrapped in animal skins, and some wore clothes woven from grass and leaves. Judging from the curls of smoke, it seemed that fire had become completely popular and productivity had been further unleashed. The houses built with reed poles and mud bricks range from large to small, and the things drying outside the houses of different sizes are also different, which shows that different families in a tribe are already rich and poor. Some very rudimentary divisions of labor in primitive societies may have already appeared. For example, some people are better at chopping firewood with stone axes and stone knives, some are good at hunting, some are good at making leather, some are good at polishing stone tools, and some are good at picking fruits or knitting clothes. In some open areas within the tribe, some wild fruits are drying on the ground, as well as a lot of animal skins and bones. The breeze blowing from the direction of the tribe carries the smell of those animal skins and bones. The smell of drying in the sun is not pleasant, but in this era, that smell is the smell of a prosperous and powerful tribe. The men and women were busy with their own tasks, and a group of children were running around chasing some captive elk in the tribe. There is no farmland around the tribe, but there are large areas of grassland and woodland along the river and on the surrounding slopes and grasslands. There is a lot of vegetation in those grasslands and woodland. Compared with the two experiences of the Xuanhuan clan and the Yosheo clan, the productivity of the tribe in front of them has obviously improved a lot, and the tribe's population is also larger. Looking at the scene in front of him, Xiaoping'an's mind came to the passage in Zhuangzi, Pirates of Ji, in the age of Shen Nong, when he lay down, he lived, and when he rose, he knew his mother, but he did not know his father. Living with elk. Xiaoping'an took out the stone sickle from his waist and looked at it. The stone sickle was more than 20 centimeters long and had been sharpened. In this era, a stone sickle could be worn around the waist. This stone sickle was the sickle should be worth a lot of money, and its popularity is no less than that of young people holding a mobile phone in later generations when they first had mobile phones. Just as Xiaoping'an was looking into the distance, a girl with a delicate appearance and slightly dark skin wearing a tiger skin skirt had already walked up the hillside aggressively and walked towards Xiaoping'an. "Brother, you are hiding here again." The girl came to Xiaoping'an. Before Xiaoping'an could figure out her identity, she put one hand on her hips and grabbed Xiaoping'an's ears with the other and began to teach her a lesson. "I have been looking for you for a long time to ask you to eat. My eldest brother and uncle have already taken people to hunt. You just wander around all day, looking at the grass and watching the fish. There is no serious business. You said the day before yesterday that these weeds are edible. From now on, I will cut some weeds and feed you every day to see if you are full." The weeds this girl was talking about were the weeds around Xiaoping'an. Don't underestimate these dog's tail grasses. These dog's tail grasses are the ancestors of millet. Millet was called chestnut in ancient times. The earliest chestnuts were selected from these dog's tail grasses and gradually cultivated. A large amount of chestnuts were discovered in both the Pailigong cultural site and the Donghulan site. The chestnuts discovered in the latter pushed the history of chestnut planting by the Chinese people to about 10,000 years. As soon as he heard the girl's words, Xiaoping'an knew that Shenan was indeed a god. The earliest millet should have been cultivated by Shenan from weeds. "Sister, be gentle, you will know later that this weed is really edible," Xiaoping'an cried out in pain and stood up quickly. After fusing the boundary bead twice in a row, Xiaoping'an has become more and more proficient in the role-playing game in the boundary bead. "If this weed can make people full, I will listen to you whatever you say from now on," the girl said fiercely, not believing Xiaoping'an's words at all. "If it can't, you just listen to me and find something serious to do. It's done. Even though grandma is the leader of the clan, you can't wander around all day long." Sure enough, Xiaoping'an had guessed before that the Shenan family had so much time to invent, create, and study herbs. There was a high probability that they were no longer involved in heavy manual labor and had no urgent need for survival, so they had the time and energy to study other people. Something that cannot be studied. Now it seems that it is indeed true. Shenan's mother is the matriarch of this tribe, and Shenan should be one of the earliest ancient nobles. In a matrilineal clan society, women in the tribe have a relatively high status, and the tribe's patriarchs are all women. For example, this fierce sister like him may inherit the position of the tribe's patriarch in the future. Judging from some historical records, the Shenan family may have been a key figure in ancient China's transition from a matrilineal clan to a patrilineal clan because of its outstanding contributions. Some history books say that the Shenan family has been passed down for 17 generations, and the last Shenan family is Emperor Yan. Some historical books say that Emperor Yan was the most important minister of Fuxi, who was the descendant of Zhu Xiang. Fuxi surrendered to Emperor Yan, so Emperor Yan brought prosperity to the world. These historical legends and information flashed through Xiaoping's mind. At this time, it was not archaeological research, but a task to be completed. Seeing that the girl's hand holding his ear did not relax, Xiaoping he quickly said, "I have already thought of what to do, and I am about to tell my grandma." Really, the hand holding Xiaoping's ear suddenly relaxed, and the girl asked curiously, "What do you want to do?" "Ha, the secret, you will know it later. What I want to do will definitely be praised by everyone in the tribe." The girl looked at Xiaoping with suspicion. Xiaoping didn't explain, but just smiled. "Okay, then I'll see what you tell grandma when you go back." The girl didn't believe it at all, but the hand holding Xiaoping's ear relaxed. Afterwards, Xiaoping rubbed his ears and followed the girl back to the tribe. When he saw the tribe before, he already knew what he had to do first. Shenan has made many achievements in his life. He has just arrived here. To take on the historical mission of Shenan, he must first establish his prestige in the tribe. Teaching people to grow grains, identify herbs, raise silkworms, and weave fabrics cannot be achieved in 3 or 2 days, but here is another thing that is easy to do, and if you do it well, you can quickly establish prestige among the entire tribe. This thing is very simple. While passing through the houses in the tribe along the way, Xiaoping carefully observed the things hanging outside the houses, and saw the amount and types of supplies that different families had, and he became more and more sure. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 36. In the center of the tribe, in the yard surrounded by the largest reed poles and mud, Xiaoping met his mother, the tribe leader, and had his first meal in this world. Shenan's mother was a kind but lacking in majesty, with loving and wise eyes, and a straight back when sitting at home. The scepter she held in her hand and the strong female guards beside her would never let anyone dare to look down upon her. When Xiaoping expressed his thoughts, everyone in the room stared at him with wide eyes in disbelief. Mutual market, what is this? Take out everyone's things and let others pick them up. How can people be willing to do this? The matriarch thought while looking at Xiaoping. After all, what Xiaoping just said was something that no one had ever thought of, and it would take a while for everyone to understand it. AMA, the mutual market allows people in our tribe to exchange each other's things. For example, I hunted a wild boar today. Our family can't finish the wild boar meat. It will spoil after being stored for a long time, and I want it again. With a stone knife and some firewood, I can take out the excess wild boar meat and exchange it with others for what I want. If there are people who have a lot of firewood at home and want to eat meat, and there are stonemasons who have polished stone knives at home and want to eat meat, you can use your own things to exchange for wild boar meat with me. Then who will trade with you? Do you want to take the wild boar meat and ask individually? Shenan's sister asked. It's the first time everyone hears about something that has never appeared before, and it's a little hard to understand. We don't need to ask one by one. We just need to find a place in the tribe, gather people who want to exchange things, and let them go there to see how to exchange their own things for other people's things. How to exchange, and exchange more. The amount of exchange can be negotiated by both parties. As long as both parties agree, the exchange can be made. I think everyone will be willing to do so. As soon as Xiaoping explained carefully, the matriarch quickly understood. The matriarch's eyes were bright and she looked at Xiaopingan with a pleased look. She was quite moved by Xiaopingan's suggestion. More importantly, Xiaopingan's today's I suggest that the matriarch understand that her son has finally grown up and can share the worries of the tribe and herself. I'll leave it to you to run the tribal fair. You can give it a try. I'll arrange 2 more people to help you and listen to your orders. In how many days can the tribal fair be completed at the earliest? It can be done in 3 days, Xiaopingan said confidently. Okay, let's see the effect in 3 days, the matriarch said, turning around and whispering to the guards around her. In just a moment, the guards beside the matriarch brought 2 helpers to Xiaopingan. Let those 2 people listen to Xiaopingan's orders these days. Xiaopingan left the house with 2 helpers in high spirits. But by that night, almost everyone in the entire tribe heard one thing. In a few days, the tribe would open a market where everyone could exchange things. What is a bazaar? What's going on in the mutual market? No one in the tribe understands it, but everyone finds it very new. In the next 2 days, while Xiaopingan kept people preparing for public opinion in the tribe and publicized the benefits of the market and how to exchange things at the market, he also asked people to randomly find a large open space in the tribe. And several wooden stakes were ordered around the open space, and the area was circled with plant ash. Life in the tribes of this era originally had no entertainment and was very boring. For the tribesmen, apart from eating and sleeping every day, they did various tasks such as hunting and picking wild fruits or chopping wood and sharpening stone knives. Even if they could rest, for a moment, I was just in a daze, with nothing to do. I heard that there will be a market in the tribe. After 3 days, at noon, everyone can take their own things to the market to exchange for other people's things. The people in the tribe are excited and full of curiosity about this new thing. And expectations. Xiaopingan asked those who wanted to exchange things to bring straw mats and their own things to the market in 3 days. Everyone put the straw mats on the ground and their things on the straw mats, and then they could trade with others. To exchange something for someone else, to barter. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. 3 days later, at noon, the place where Xiaopingan was preparing for the market was crowded with people from the tribe. Almost everyone from the tribe came out to the place where Xiaopingan set up the market. People come to the market, some come to exchange things, and some come to watch the fun. At the beginning, everyone didn't know how to exchange things with others. Xiaopingan took the lead and exchanged some meat brought by his brother for some firewood and some straw mats. The 2 caretakers arranged by Xiaopingan also then I went to exchange some things with firewood and meat. Someone took the lead and set an example. Now everyone understood. It turns out that this market is a place where everyone can exchange their own things for other people's things. This method is really good. When everyone gets together, everything can be exchanged with each other. So soon, with the beginning of Xiaopingan, others also tried to use their own things to exchange for what they needed. The market on the grass suddenly became lively. Seeing this first market in the world with his own eyes, Xiaopingan was full of emotions. The ancestors of the Chinese people were pragmatic and brave in innovation. How can there be those messy sayings of later generations that reduce the status of merchants and craftsmen to nothing? According to some traditions, Xuanhuan, one of the 3 emperors, is the founder of merchants, farmers, craftsmen, and doctors, and is also the patron saint of these professions. It was with these ordinary people that Xuanhuan created the history of Chinese civilization. No wonder Lao Tzu said, when great principles fail, there is benevolence and righteousness, and when wisdom arises, there is great hypocrisy. Sometimes, when there are too many experts, the right and wrong in this world become upside down. Everyone in the tribe burst out with great enthusiasm for being able to exchange their own things for other people's things. The tribal market was a huge success on the first day, and everyone who participated in the market felt that they had received benefits and benefits. In the following month, Xiaoping'an held a mutual market within the tribe every 5 days. Each mutual market greatly facilitated the lives of the tribal people. After successfully holding 7 or 8 mutual markets, Xiaoping'an's prestige in the tribe suddenly emerged. The number of people his mother assigned him has grown from the original 2 people to 4 people. After having manpower, many things will be easier to handle. Xiaoping'an began to lead people around the tribe to search for clay suitable for making pottery, and soon found it. With the clay, making pottery was also put on Xiaoping'an's schedule. It was actually very simple to make pottery in this era. As long as you found clay, even if you didn't have a cave, you could just pile a pile of firewood on the flat ground and make it. Many of the funerary pottery unearthed in later generations, judging from the temperature at which the pottery was fired, were fired on flat ground with firewood, without any kiln at all. Of course Xiaoping'an would not be so rough. He led his people to dig a simple earthen kiln on the hillside that was as tall as a person. The earthen kiln could be filled with firewood to make pottery. Xiaoping'an played with clay for a day and made some crude-looking dishes out of clay, preparing them as the first batch of pottery to be fired. Then he asked the people who followed him to find some firewood. Finally, Xiaoping'an put the dishes he made out of clay into the kiln, then piled firewood on them. After only 2 or 3 hours of burning, his first batch of pottery was fired, which was a success. A few days later, when Xiaoping'an took the first batch of bowl-shaped pottery he made to the mutual market, the whole tribe once again caused a sensation. That bowl is great, it can hold water and food, and it looks expensive. In an era when there were almost no containers, the first batch of pottery fired caused a sensation beyond Xiaoping'an's imagination. The people in the tribe looked at the earthen dishes made by Xiaoping'an, just like modern people looking at a pile of diamonds. Many people were willing to pay a huge price in exchange for a pottery bowl. With pottery, culinary diets could be diversified, and many foods and things had better ways to store them. Just by replacing the first batch of pottery dishes, Xiaoping'an discovered that he had become the richest man in the tribe in just one day, and his prestige had risen to a higher level. Everything started smoothly for the Shenan clan. Within a month, Xiaoping'an completed 2 major events. Once you have things, achievements, prestige, and people to listen to your words, it will be easier to make inventions, create things, lead people to farm, and open up wasteland. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 37. 4 days later, in the secret room of the safe house, Xiaoping'an opened his eyes still a little confused, as if he had just woken up from a big dream. He once again glanced at the summoner's secret mandala that had just been completely condensed in his sea of consciousness. After the mandala was fused with the divine and human world bead, it had expanded hundreds of times compared to before and evolved into an ancient tribe covering an area of more than 1 square kilometer. In the middle of the tribe is a simple and solemn-looking temple built of stones and giant trees. Compared with the previous caves and small huts, this temple has shown a somewhat grander momentum. Outside the temple, there are also 7-level granite steps. The divine fire in the temple was burning blazingly, and it had turned into a huge fire altar, spurting out from the ground, and the reliefs on the jade wall of the temple had parts of the Shenan clan. In the sky above the interior of the temple is a huge caisson dome. Under the caisson is the divine fire, and above the caisson are golden light groups of divine power. Xiaoping'an gained 30 points of divine power from the fusion of the divine and human realm pearl this time, plus the previous 40 points of divine power, so the total golden light group of divine power totaled 70 points. The relief sculpture of Shenan is a scene of Shenan leading countless tribesmen to open up wasteland and cultivate land in the wilderness, and the tribe prospered. Several tribal elders were full of excitement, half kneeling in front of Shenan, holding harvested crops such as rice, millet, wheat and other crops in their hands. There were also some mechanics beside them, holding various utensils, pottery, arrows. Ya, lay, and some people were holding various medicinal materials picked from the wilderness, and some musicians were playing musical instruments. Everyone was enjoying themselves. Everyone surrounded Shannon, like stars holding the moon. Among them, there is a farmer holding rice, millet, and wheat in both hands, a mechanic holding a clay pot in his left hand and an arrow in his right hand, and another carrying a medicine basket filled with many medicinal herbs. The characters are particularly vivid, as if they could step out of the relief. When Xiaopingan touched them with his consciousness, these three people seemed to be able to walk down the jade wall tree trunk. These should be the three character summoning slots obtained this time, a farmer, a mechanic, and an alchemist. But the tribe outside the temple is a different scene. Next to the tribe are the smoky green mountains in the distance, the river flowing with ink rime, and the looming human settlements and houses that look like ink paintings. There are thousands of households and large areas of farmland. Xiaopingan can see the people in the tribe. In life, farming, polishing stone tools, boiling salt, making hemp, burning pottery, and collecting herbs. Everything in the secret mandala in the Sea of Consciousness was very much like what he saw when he left the Sheneng tribe. Outside the secret mandala, there is still black mist rolling in, full of unknowns and mysteries. Is this the summoner's secret mandala? Xiaopingan's heart was filled with shock. For Xiaopingan, who had just become a summoner, the mystery and vastness of the summoner world had just begun to unfold before his eyes. In the Pearl of Gods and Humans, Xiaopingan has done his best. He boiled salt for the tribe, taught the people in the tribe to marinate meat with salt to preserve food, and taught the people in the tribe to make hemp into cloth and make things with cloth better clothes. He made bows and arrows, so that people in the tribe could have bows and arrows, and taught the people in the tribe to use bamboo pipes to make blow darts for hunting. He invented the cultivation of grains, which enabled the tribe to have agricultural planting and food production. He tasted all kinds of herbs and almost recited the Shen Nong Baikojing in its entirety. He was the first to compose the qin and zither, and established the five-note rhythm of Gongshang Jiao Zhenyu. Used pottery to cook tea, detoxify and save people. He gave countless instructions and taught countless people. Before the world in that world bead dissipated, he was already the most prestigious and knowledgeable person among all the tribes within thousands of miles. He had already obtained the name of Sheneng and had thousands of tribes surrendering to him. However, even so, he still could not fully demonstrate the merits and contributions of the Sheneng clan, and there were still shortcomings. This time, the fusion of the divine and human world beads could not be called perfect. This shortcoming and imperfection is the calendar established by Sheneng. The calendar established by Sheneng was the Gui Tibet calendar, which has long been lost. Even Xiaopingan could not restore the Gui Tibet calendar. Xiaopingan has only heard that the 12 hexagrams of the Sheneng family in the Tibetan calendar generate the Tai Chi diagram, but how it evolved and how it was generated and how to use the hexagrams to determine the astronomical calendar is not something he can know. Perhaps no one in this world can know. He did not fully display the historical contributions and achievements of the Sheneng family. He played as one of the three emperors of China in the world pearl, so the integration this time could not be called perfect. He only received 30 points of divine power. If you perfectly fuse the divine world pearl, you will get 36 points of divine power. At this moment, Xiaopingan felt regret, awe, and satisfaction in his heart. The awe is the awe of the wisdom of the ancient Chinese people. As for the satisfaction, it is the kind of person who has been immersed in Chinese history for most of his life, following the footsteps of the ancients, standing on the shoulders of giants, witnessing with his own eyes and even creating the history of China. Satisfy. As for the regret, it was because even within the boundary pearl, he could not get a glimpse of the mystery of the return to Tibet calendar. This mood is very subtle. From now on, I will be a real summoner. Xiaopingan opened his eyes and murmured to himself, feeling a little excited. After fusing these three world beads, you can fuse other world beads without restrictions in the future. Xiaopinggan stood up, and a series of explosions came from the muscles and bones of his body again. At this moment, the body already had a feeling of ethereal and powerful being completely integrated, which was great. He opened the safety door of the secret room, walked out of the secret room, went to the underground of the villa, and then took the elevator to the top. He found that the villa was empty, Yan Duo was not in the villa, and he was the only one in the entire villa. Warm sunlight shines through the window. Judging from the time, it is morning. Xiaopinggan took out his mobile phone again and sent out that there were more than 20 missed calls and 2 messages in his mobile phone. Most of the more than 20 missed calls were from Xuanning, and 2 were from the landlord. The time span was 3 days. The 2 messages were from Xuanning yesterday, and the other one was from Xuanning yesterday. It was sent by Mo Yanshao yesterday. Xiaopinggan first clicked on the message sent by Xuanning. Brother, no one has answered your calls these days. I'm so anxious. I called the Xianghe City Order Committee to ask about your situation. They said you were on a mission. Are you okay? Xiaopinggan secretly sweated. He had been fusing the God-Human Realm Pearl these days. He didn't expect Xuanning to give him so many calls. After looking at the messages, Xiaopinggan replied to Xuanning. I'm fine. Very good. I just couldn't contact you in the past few days. Don't worry. I'll make delicious food for you when I get home on the weekend. Just a few seconds after the message was sent, Xuanning replied instantly that such an adult wants your sister to worry about you, really. Grimace. Looking at the grimace behind Xianning's message, Xiaopinggan smiled. Look at the message from Mo Yanshao again. Give me a call after the fusion of the God-Human Realm Pearl is successful, and I will have a helicopter pick you up. Xiaopinggan directly dialed Mo Yanshao's number, and within 2 seconds, the call was connected. How's it going? Mo Yanshao asked over the phone. The fusion has been successful, Xiaopinggan said. Young Master Mo Yan on the other side of the phone took a long breath and said, okay, you can go back to the provincial headquarters directly. Our helicopter will arrive in an hour. Also, don't believe what that bastard Yan Duo says. After finishing the call with Mo Yanshao, Xiaopinggan dialed the landlord's number again. After waiting for 7 or 8 seconds and listening to the phone ringing for a while, the landlord's phone was finally connected. Hello, Uncle Hong, I'm Xiaopinggan. Xiaopinggan's phone call to the landlord was very polite. The two of them had lived in the house he and Xuanning lived in for many years. The landlord was a kind man and knew that the 2 brothers and sisters were renting the house and had no father or mother. Ping An's rent, the rent has increased several times over the years, it was Xiaopinggan who took the initiative. Xiaopinggan has always been very polite to this uncle landlord. It's safe. The landlord's gentle voice came from the other side of the phone. I called you twice in the past 2 days, but I never got through. I'm sorry, Uncle Hong. I was busy a few days ago and didn't bring my mobile phone. By the way, I asked Xuanning to transfer this month's rent to you. I have received the rent. I am not calling you to talk to you about the rent. I am calling you to tell you something. I have sold the house I rented to you from this month. At first, the new landlord will ask you to collect rent. Uncle Hong was still a little embarrassed on the phone, explaining to Xiaopinggan, I'm old here and don't want to stay in the city. I want to live in the country for a few years and give my daughter. I have been raising my grandson for a few years, so I sold the house in the city to someone else. Uncle Hong, it's okay. You should enjoy a few years of peace and happiness. I will contact the new landlord about the rent. Thank you Uncle Hong for taking care of my brother and sister these years. Okay, then there's nothing else. Haha, I don't have anything to take care of. You brothers and sisters are very particular and love to be clean, so you don't bother with it. I don't have to worry about renting. I live in the countryside of Wooding. It's time to come and play. Okay. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 38. Summoners are also human beings, and they are inevitable with these trivial matters in life. If a summoner wants to rent a house, he has to pay rent, and Xiaopingan was not a summoner before. Xiaopingan smiled to himself and didn't take the new landlord to heart. The new landlord would probably increase the rent by several hundred yuan, which he didn't care about. After ending the call and putting down the phone, Xiaopingan went directly to the bathroom and took a pleasant bath. According to Dr. Huang, this is the last time that impurities are eliminated from the body through the divine power initiation, which is equivalent to the I Ching marrow cleansing and rebirth. In the future, after successfully fusing other world beads, although you will still have divine power to empower your body and improve your physique, there will no longer be any impurities discharged from your body. After taking a shower and drying his hair, he changed into the set of clean clothes he brought with him and walked out refreshed. Xiaopingan saw that Yan Duo was already sitting in the living room. He probably came back while he was taking a shower. I didn't expect that it actually took you 4 days to fuse the God-Human Realm Pearl this time. Yan Duo looked at Xiaopingan's complexion and smiled. It seems that you should have successfully fused this time. Well, what a fluke. Xiaopingan was already packing his things. If nothing happens, I will go back to Xianghe today. Yan Duo didn't even ask about Xiaopingan's fusion of the God-Human Realm Pearl. He just nodded, it's okay here. I'll take you to the provincial headquarters later. Good. Yan Duo's expression suddenly became serious, but please think carefully about my previous suggestion. You have now completely condensed the foundation building world beads to become a summoner, but the summoning spells you master now are still very simple, and you only master some basic summoning spells. In the future, if you want to improve your divine power and strength, and master more summoning spells, you can only continue to integrate other world beads. I know that Director Mo is worried that I am poaching him, so I must have reminded you, but you have to follow me, and I dare not say anything else. As for the world bead, I can guarantee you at least 2 world beads a year. If you agree to come, I can get you a slave soldier world bead tomorrow. Slave soldier realm pearl. Well, after fusion, you can summon slave soldiers. This slave soldier world bead is also one of the summoner's favorite world beads. The failure rate of fusing the slave soldier world bead is less than 1%, and the success rate is the highest. Once fused, in addition to the fireball technique, you will have another character summoning slot that can be directly used in combat. Your ability to save your life and deal with accidents will be greatly increased. If you return to Xianghe, you may not be able to obtain the fused slave world until next year. A chance for pearls. Xiaopingan thought for a while. Well, I will consider your suggestion, but now I still have to go back to Xianghe. It doesn't matter, my door here is open to you at any time. Yan Duo was not disappointed and nodded calmly. The matter of poaching cannot be solved in a few sentences. It is a process of gradually building trust. In this regard, Yan Duo has rich experience and is not in a hurry. Can I ask, how many kinds of world beads are there? Xiaopingan asked as he thought about the secret mandala that he had just successfully condensed. Currently, there are more than 3,600 different types of world beads that have been discovered and recorded. This number is still increasing. There are about 100 kinds of regular world beads that summoners can often see. They are just for general summoning. A master may not be able to fuse more than 100 world beads in his lifetime. So many, Xiaopingan was a little shocked. It sounds like a lot, but it's actually not much. Some world beads are common and abundant, while some world beads are uncommon and rare in number and cannot be touched by ordinary people. Are there any examples of successful fusion of these world beads? Some do, some don't, and some don't know if they do. Yan Duian concluded concisely and profoundly. Some summoners have successfully integrated some rare world beads to master special abilities and special summoning positions, which are also kept secret, so it's difficult for others to know. Xiaopingan nodded and already picked up his bag. I see, I understand, let's go. Yan Duo drove Xiaopingan to the headquarters of the Yizhu Provincial Order Committee. Within a few minutes, a helicopter from Xianghe City arrived. Xiaopingan got on the helicopter and waved goodbye to Yan Duo. The helicopter didn't stay for a moment. As soon as Xiaopingan got on the plane, it took off and flew towards Xianghe City. Just after the helicopter left, an old man stood beside Yan Duo. The old man was energetic, with his hair combed meticulously. He was wearing a black striped double-breasted suit and shiny leather shoes. He was full of gentlemanly demeanor. He held a faucet crutch in both hands, raised his head, and watched the helicopter slowly with a special look. Fly far. As MRSGN said, this guy is not bad. He has a lot of things hidden in him. Even MRSGN can't see through it completely. It would be a waste to put it in Xianghe City. Looking at the plane going away, the old man said secretly in his heart. As soon as the old man appeared, a flattering smile suddenly appeared on Yan Duo's handsome face. Ahem, old man, I have completed the task well this time. This garbage cleaning task has been successfully completed. Are there any rewards from the provincial department? I haven't seen a new boundary bead for a long time, I don't know. I haven't settled the accounts with you yet for the mistakes you made during your mission in Japan last time. The base in Antarctica is still short of lanterns. How about I transfer you to Antarctica for a few years to train, the old man said lightly and took Yan away. The next words were all stuck in my stomach. Haha, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. The flattering smile on Yan Duo's face has turned into flattery, and he even bent down a little. I didn't do much for such a trivial matter, so why do I have the nerve to ask for rewards? If you don't have any instructions, I'll leave first. Yan Duo said and wanted to run away. Well, before you leave, remember to go to the finance department and hand over the money you won from betting in the death arena. It should be 60 million. That is your unjust gain from the mission, not the mission bonus, the old man said calmly. Said something? Ah, no, old man, I've been so poor recently that I can't open the pot. I just had a little fun. Leave some for me. For the sake of running before and after, I can earn some hard money. Yan Duo's face instantly turned bitter. Really? After going to Antarctica, you can't spend it even if you have money. Don't, why don't I go and hand it over? I just won 60 million. I won't take a penny that I shouldn't have earned. Yan Duyi said righteously, not daring to say more for a moment. He was stunned, afraid that the old man would say something to scare him again, so he ran away quickly. The old man looked at the sky in the distance, with a strange light flashing in his eyes, and murmured to himself, 3 foundation building world beads, perfectly fused twice, and the summoner who completed the foundation building with 70 points of divine power has already. We haven't seen each other for many years, Xiaopingan, we will meet again soon. An hour later, Xiaopingan returned to the location of the National Order Membership Association in Xianghe City. The helicopter stopped on the apron on the top of the building. Xiaopingan took off the plane with his bag and saw Mo Yanshao waiting outside the apron. At this time, it was only around 10 o'clock in the morning. Mo Yanshao and the others had just returned from lighting the lamps a few hours ago, and the others were probably still catching up on their naps. I heard, you completed the mission well this time. Mo Yanshao stared at Xiaopingan with a strange look. He had already watched the video of the fight between Xiaopingan and the bear butcher. The behavior of the black cobra in Xiaopingan's hands shocked him. He didn't expect that Xiaopingan's ability to use whips had reached such an extent. The tail of the black cobra's steel whip was like a bullet in Xiaopingan's hand, and its power was amazing. I'm lucky, Xiaopingan said modestly without any pride on his face. Did that bastard Yan Duo dig into our corner and try to trick you into coming? Mo Yanshao asked directly. Xiaopingan laughed. Young Master Mo Yan understood and cursed secretly. That bastard Yan Duo was still like that bird. He demolished the bridge as soon as he crossed the river. Thinking of Xiaopingan's requiem flag, young Mo Yan was really afraid that Xiaopingan would be abducted by Yan Duo. Gone. As the two of them walked towards the elevator, young Master Mo Yan said to Xiaopingan, Yan Duo has formed an action team at the provincial headquarters. The work he does is complicated and very dangerous. Not an ordinary summoner can do it. Yes, he should be interested in your Requiem banner ability. You have just become a summoner. First, stay in the order committee for 2 years to familiarize yourself with all aspects of the situation and steadily improve your strength. There is no need to rush and take risks. I have already applied for a new boundary bead from the provincial department for you, and once you show some performance, the provincial headquarters will probably issue you a slave soldier bead soon. After Mo Yan had said so little, Xiaopingan also expressed his position. Thank you, Director, I think I am enjoying my stay here in Xianghe City and have no plans to leave. Young Master Mo Yan secretly breathed a sigh of relief. You have just become a summoner. You can go home and have a good rest this weekend. When next Monday begins, you will officially join the Special Operations Division. There is something unusual in Xianghe City these days. The following tasks there will be more, so be prepared. Light up. Well, there is still some investigation work to do. Okay. Your work ID and special equipment have been received. Go to Laozhou to get them. The elevator door opened and on the 9th floor, after a few words of explanation to Xiaopingan, young Master Mo Yan separated from Xiaopingan. Always restrained, young Master Mo Yan did not ask Xiaopingan about the situation after merging the pearl of the God-human realm. Is this the tacit understanding and unspoken rules between summoners? Unless others take the initiative to bring it up, they generally will not ask others about the situation of fusing the world beads and the secret mandala. Looking at Mo Yanshao's leaving figure, Xiaopingan gained another understanding of the tacit understanding between the summoners, including Yan Duo, who didn't ask any questions before. Xiaopingan went back to his room number 963 first, put down his luggage bag in the room, took out the black cobra and put it on the weapon rack, then left the room and went to the equipment department on the 7th underground floor. The superstore in the equipment department was empty. There was only a cute robot walking around here, but the sound of the machine and the splashing of sparks could be heard faintly in the CNC processing machine room at the back. Xiaopingan didn't wait too long. He just wandered around a few stores for a minute or two when he saw Laozhou, who was wearing goggles and taking off his gloves, walking out of the passage at the back of the store. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 39. Seeing Xiaopingan, Laozhou grinned. Boy, I heard that you used that black cobra to kill a scumbag in Xingquan a few days ago. Haha, Uncle Joe, you are well informed. Xiaopingan smiled. By the way, I just successfully fused the divine human realm pearl this morning, and now I am a summoner. That's right, that's right. I'll tell you that you have a lot of potential, and that black cobra is the perfect match for you. Laozhou came over, took off his goggles, put his gloves aside, and moved his hands from one to the other. He touched the counter and took out 2 suitcases, one silver and one black, and placed them on the counter. Everything in here belongs to you. The headquarters just sent it to you. You will need it in the future. Take a look. No problem, just sign here. Laozhou took out another list. Xiaopingan opened the silver hand reminder first, and was immediately shocked by what was inside. The silver suitcase is divided into 2 layers when opened. The top layer is more than 10 work documents, and the bottom is more than 10 passports. The most conspicuous one on the top of those work documents is an orderly document. A small black booklet with the scales, dragon, sword, and shield emblem of the council. Xiaopinggan took the small notebook and opened it, and saw his anti-counterfeiting portrait and the eye-catching seal of the National Order Committee. Work permit of the National Order Committee of the Republic of Dian. Name, Xiaopinggan. Ability occupation, Summoner. No, Part A 3617185150. This small black book is very majestic and is also a prop that often appears in various film and television dramas. In those film and television dramas, as long as the characters appearing in it take out this ID, they have priority in law enforcement, kill all directions, and can come and go freely. Almost all non-state secret agencies and localities, as well as all law enforcement agencies and government agencies, must cooperate. Is this your work permit? Holding this work permit, which symbolized authority and heavy responsibility, Xiaopinggan had mixed feelings in his heart. From the moment he got this certificate, he officially became a summoner of the National Order Committee of the Great Yan Kingdom and joined the big family of eating royal food. Hey, kid, don't be stunned. This ID is actually not used very often. You may not be able to use it once every few years. This is your first level ID in the Order Committee, the ones you see in movies and TV shows. The bridge section is all about coaxing children. Look at the other ones, other certificates will be used more, Lao Zhou reminded from the side. Xiaopinggan smiled, put down the work permit, and picked up a small notebook next to him with gun license written on the dark blue cover. The small book was opened, and it still contained his security photo, the stamp of the relevant state agency of Dian Kingdom, and the ID number. This is a Class 1 firearms license. The most useful thing is the sentence in the certificate. This gun certificate is a legal certificate for the holder to openly hold and use pistols, automatic weapons, and all other special firearms with a caliber not larger than 12.7 mm in the 56 provinces and 2 overseas territories of the Republic of Dian. Xiaopinggan read the sentence several times. The gun licenses in Dian country are divided into 3 levels. The third-level gun license can only hold specific pistols, the second-level gun license can hold automatic weapons, and the first-level gun license can hold the largest range of firearms. A wide range of weapons, including almost all small arms with a caliber of 12.7 mm. Remember the number on the gun license. You don't need to carry the gun license with you. If you need to carry a gun with you in the future, you only need to remember the number on the gun license. When inspected by the police and other law enforcement agencies, report the gun license number. Just the gun license number is enough, Lao Zhou reminded. Xiaopinggan nodded. He put down the gun-holding license and picked up the next certificate. This certificate is a press card. The issuing authority is the Optics Valley News Agency of the Republic of Dian. The Optics Valley News Agency and the Official News Agency of the Republic of Dian are the 5 major news agencies and media groups in the world, together with AFP, TASS, Xuanhuan News Agency, and Deutsche Presse. Institutions with the same name as the society include numerous television stations, magazines, newspapers, and websites. In addition to the press card, among those certificates, there are more than 10 kinds of certificates such as police card, detective card, lawyer card, environmental inspection card, psychological counselor card, etc., and even the Feng Shui Master certificate issued by the Dian Kingdom Feng Shui Master Association. The person in the certificate is Xiaopinggan. In addition to documents, there are more than 10 passports in this box. Those passports have great information, and some are from other countries. The characters in the passports are naturally Xiaopinggan. Are these documents authentic? Xiaopinggan asked Lao Zhou. Of course it's true. These certificates are your second-level work certificates in the Order Committee. Apart from not going to work in these places and not receiving wages from these places, these certificates can withstand any inspection. There is no problem at all. Order Committee people from the Special Operations Division often use other identities when going out to do business. Press ID and police ID are used relatively often, so as not to cause panic among ordinary people. Xiaopinggan understood. He had heard from Mo Yanshao before that people from the Special Operations Division had many different identities and many vests when they went out. He thought he was just trying to fool others. Who would have thought that the Order Committee prepared these for the Special Operations Division? The vest is so watertight that no one can find anything wrong with it. What about these passports? These passports are also useful. You don't think that you will only perform tasks in Xianghe City forever. It is very common for summoners of the Special Operations Division to travel domestically and abroad to perform special tasks. Hey, the identities of those agents are no more than that, right? Xiaopinggan sighed. How can an agent compare with a summoner? An agent can only use 2 or 3 documents to hide his identity. How can there be so many of us? Moreover, the passports of agents are basically fake passports issued by the government. Ours are all real. Joe stared and said, with an expression that said, "You kid has no experience." When agents go abroad, they are like rats crossing the street. When we go abroad, others are eager to welcome us. How can it be compared? You are now a summoner, but how can you compare? It takes the awakening of a summoner. Only others ask for us, but we don't ask for others. Summoners all over the world are just drunk and meat-eating characters. Yes, 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 Uncle Joe, you are right, I was wrong. Xiaopinggan immediately admitted his mistake with a smile. He did not expect that Lao Zhou had such a strong sense of collective honor. You keep these documents in your office and choose what documents to take out according to your needs. Yeah, Xiaopinggan nodded, and then opened the black box next to him. Xiaopinggan opened the black box next to him, which contained an antique bronze lotus lamp. Xiaopinggan's eyes moved when he saw this ancient lamp. In Xiaopinggan's eyes, the shape of this ancient lamp was exactly the same as an ancient northern Qi lamp unearthed from the Wangjiafeng tombs in Taiyuan City. Is this a coincidence? But there is no northern Qi dynasty in this world, and there are no Wangjiafeng tombs. But these two lamps are so similar. Xiaopinggan's eyes slowly became serious. He looked at Lao Zhou. This is the lamp lighter. Lao Zhou nodded and looked at the lamp with some pious eyes. That's the lamp. It was sent from the headquarters. This lamp is a rare magic weapon. Remember to use it carefully. I won't do anything if it breaks. The way to repair it is to put a drop of blood on the wick of the lamp, and the lamp will follow you from now on. Remember, when the person is there and the lamp is there, even if the lamp is no longer the person, there are people who have the lamp. You should know how to use it specifically. Xiaopinggan nodded and carefully took out the bronze lotus lamp from the groove of the box. From the appearance, this lamp seemed to be the same as an ordinary bronze lamp. There was nothing special in terms of weight and appearance. It's not very beautiful, but I don't know if it's a psychological effect. Looking at this lamp, I always feel that this lamp is a little special. After looking at the lamp for a while, Xiaopinggan twisted the ring on his hand to reveal the silver needle. In front of Lao Zhou, he pricked his finger and dripped 2 drops of blood where the lamp contained the lamp oil. A few seconds later, the bronze lotus lamp flashed with brilliance, and the blood dripping from Xiaopinggan was absorbed. Holding the lamp in your hand, your heart lights up. The ancient lamp is faint and seems to be ready to be lit by Xiaopinggan at any time, emitting brilliance to protect the safety of the place in the darkness. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 40. There's a little new twist in the cafeteria. At noon, when Xiaopinggan arrived at the restaurant, pop music was playing in the restaurant. The equipment that played the music was a set of purple audio equipment with an exaggerated shape, shaped like a morning glory. The trumpet-shaped speaker was even bigger than Xia's pieces, even higher. Among the speakers with several trumpet flowers, there was a pile of square box playback equipment that Xiaopinghan had seen or never seen before. It was piled up on a half-person high bookcase. It looked very awesome and should be very expensive. The chefs working in the cafeteria looked like they were enjoying themselves while listening to the music. The sound effect of that set is a bit shocking. Once the sound is turned on, the entire restaurant feels like a concert hall. Kilpolu, Fang Lingshan and Cao Xinghua were already sitting in the restaurant. Seeing Xiaopinghan arriving with the buffet he had picked up, the three of them were not too surprised. Only Lao Tu asked, "Fusion?" Xiaopinghan nodded, "Integrated." "Ha, we will go on missions together in the future." Lao Tu smiled slightly and continued to eat the bloody steak on his plate. Cao Xinghua raised his eyelids and glanced at Xiaopinghan, and said only two words, "Congratulations." "Thanks." As for Fang Lingshan, she just nodded slightly to Xiaopinghan without speaking. These people who were stimulated twice by Xiaopinghan's perfect fusion of the Divine Fire World Pearl and the acquisition of the Requiem banner have no feelings at all about Xiaopinghan's fusion of the Divine Fire World Pearl, as if it were a matter of course. Maybe they will be surprised. Xiaopinghan sat directly opposite Lao Tu, and while drinking the ginseng and black-bone chicken soup cooked in the restaurant, he asked, "The set of speakers in the restaurant is a bit luxurious. Is the order committee's funds so sufficient?" That set of speakers was left by Lao Man. Lao Tu stopped, with a slightly nostalgic look on his face. "You didn't come back yesterday." Lao Man was transferred by the headquarters. After being promoted, the headquarters transferred him to Europe. Over there, he left his favorite horn set in the cafeteria. "You happened to be away, so you didn't attend Lao Man's farewell ceremony." "Lao Man, Man Zi, that slutty guy who likes to wear flowery shirts?" Xiaopinghan still had some impression. He had met him twice before. The handsome man was the head of the Intelligence and Information Center of the Order Committee of Xianghe City. "Old man is a very nice person, but he talks a lot." Cao Xinghua, who had been silent all this time, spoke up for a rare occasion and added, "Old man donates a lot of money to charities every year. When he was here, I wanted to kick him to death. Now that he's gone, it feels like there's something missing in this building. It's a bit boring and I'm really not used to it." Fang Lingshan also said softly. "Ha ha ha, it's okay. It's not like I can't see him. If you ever want to be harassed by him, let's go to Europe to have a drink with him during the holidays," Tupolu said carelessly. After a while, Enqing and Mo Yanshao came, and Li Yunzhou came too. Everyone seemed to know about Xiaopinghan's fusion of the God-Human Realm Pearl, and they didn't ask much. Enqing smiled and said congratulations to Xiaopinghan, and Li Yunzhou yawning, looking like he was twitching, he patted Xiaopinghan on the shoulder. "Come on, from now on you can call me senior." Lunch was almost done, and young Master Mo Yan immediately started arranging tasks at the dinner table. "There is something unusual at the old graphite factory warehouse at number 46 Linen Road. More than one person called the police before, saying that they saw flashes of light outside the windows of the warehouse at night. Cross the shadow. The police sent people to check it out this morning. Nothing unusual was found. Enqing and Xiaopinghan, you two will go check it out together in the afternoon after dinner. If there is anything unusual there, even the ordinary police will find it." "No." "Okay," Enqing glanced at Xiaopinghan and reminded her, her beautiful eyes sparkling, "just remember to bring your gun and press pass with you this afternoon." "Boss, why don't Enqing and I go together?" Li Yunzhou said with a smile on his face. Mo Yanshao glanced at him and said, "You and Cao Xinghua go to Lingxi building to take a look." According to several big data analysis materials that Lao Man left behind before he left, there were 2 missing persons in Lingxi last week. The buildings have overlapped, and Lingxi building is an important investigation point. Looking at the stone like Cao Xinghua, Li Yunzhou was suddenly discouraged. "Lao Tu, Lingshan, you two will go to Qinglong Reservoir in the afternoon. This is also the intersection of the missing people's movement trajectories analyzed by big data. Everyone takes their own orders. After eating quickly, everyone returned to their rooms to prepare. Xiaopinggan, who returned to the room, put his holster on his back and inserted Manuan M into the holster. The holster also contained 5 fast-loading bridge clips, each of which contains 6 rounds of bullets. The 6 bullets in the gun make a total of 36 bullets, which is enough to deal with most situations. The slow loading speed of revolvers like the Manuel M has always been a shortcoming of revolvers. In order to make up for this shortcoming, people have also invented some auxiliary loading tools, such as quick loaders and quick bridge clips. These are 2 of the auxiliary loading tools. The quick loader is disc-shaped, with a diameter similar to that of a pistol runner. This thing loads the load very quickly, but it is inconvenient to carry on the body because it is round and takes up space. In comparison, the quick loader is much more convenient. It is smaller and flatter than an ordinary magazine. As long as you use it skillfully, you can complete the filling of revolver bullets in the shortest time. Xiaopingyan spends most of his time practicing guns these days, training to use the quick bridge clip to load the pistol. After becoming proficient, he can be fooled very quickly. After bringing the gun, he took out his press pass from the pile of ids and put it on him. He wore a sports jacket outside so that others wouldn't be able to tell that he was carrying a gun. Xiaopingyan came to the parking lot, and Anqing also came down. Anqing changed into a beige windbreaker, black trousers and a white shirt, paired with a pair of women's leather shoes with round toes and shallow mouths. They were neat, bright, and attractive, and she suddenly became a capable female reporter. A few minutes later, Anqing's red Ferrari 599 just rushed out of the gate of the order committee. Like a bolt of lightning, a black motorcycle caught up from behind and suddenly ran in front of the Ferrari 599. On the motorcycle was a female rider wearing a black leather jacket and a helmet. Judging from the female rider's hot figure, the female rider was Fang Lingshan. Lao Tu drove his SUV with 6 exhaust pipes and rushed up from behind. He walked alongside Anqing. After saying hello, he separated at the intersection, followed closely by Fang Lingshan's lightning-like motorcycle. Leave in the other direction. This time, Anqing didn't drive as aggressively as last time, and there were no more police lights on the car. More than 30 minutes later, Anqing drove to the underground parking lot of a hotel on Linen Road. She and Xiaopingyan took the elevator from the underground parking lot to the hotel lobby. After walking out of the lobby, they just walked a few hundred meters and were there a few minutes later. We arrived at the old graphite factory warehouse at number 46 Linen Road. The old graphite factory warehouse is an old building that has been semi-abandoned and has not been used for a long time. The mottled and rusty iron door is ajar. From the outside, the yard outside the warehouse is overgrown with weeds, and the street facing the warehouse, one of the windows is still broken. From the gap in the ajar door, one can easily slip in by turning on one side. Xiaopingyan was the first to go in, followed by Anqing. Xiaopingyan didn't dare to take it lightly. As soon as he entered here, he took out his gun. He knew after the last fire rescue that something hidden in the city was much more terrifying than he imagined. There were some weeds growing in the yard, and there were some abandoned broken wooden boxes and a few rusty steel rails scattered around, but nothing else was too eye-catching. The two of them first searched the yard outside the warehouse to make sure there was no problem outside the yard, and then walked inside the warehouse. The warehouse is divided into upper and lower floors. Almost all room doors are open. Some rooms are empty, and some rooms are filled with dusty debris. At first glance, there is nothing special. Xiaopingyan told Anqing the results he saw using remote viewing. Let's go in and take a look. Some things need to be felt and discovered at a close distance. The two searched the warehouse on the first floor carefully, but found nothing. They went to the warehouse on the second floor and searched again, but found nothing unusual. It's strange. There are more than one alarm calls from surrounding residents. They all said that they saw black shadows and heard noises here at night. Could it be that some homeless people scavenging have been here? And Qing glanced around the warehouse, her delicate brows lightening. Frowning slightly, but there are no traces of homeless people or scavengers living here. Judging from the several fresh leather shoe footprints at the entrance to the first and second floors of the warehouse and on the floor of the corridor, only 2 policemen came here to take a look before leaving, and nothing else was found. Xiaopinggan raised his head, looked at the beams and the hanging tower on the top of the warehouse, and then looked at the street lights outside the window. Suddenly his heart moved. He climbed up the stairs of the hanging tower and walked to a pile of storage boxes under the beams on the top of the warehouse. Where the broken sack and broken wooden box were, I heard something special. He knelt down and lifted up a wooden board, and saw under the wooden board a nest of cute little tabby cats that had just opened their eyes and were still crying for feeding. Meow. At this moment, 2 big tabby cats got in through a broken window on the top of the warehouse and walked towards here along the beam. One big tabby cat still had 2 mice in its mouth. Seeing Xiaopinggan, the tabby cat without a mouse in its mouth gave a nervous and angry cry. Xiaopinggan covered the wooden board and retreated again. There is a litter of kittens up there. I think I know what happened to the black shadows seen by those calling the police outside. Xiaopinggan pointed to the big tabby cat on the beam, and then pointed to the outside facing the beam. Street lights. And Qing suddenly understood. At night, the street lights outside are turned on, and the 2 tabby cats walk home from the beams. The street lights magnify their shadows and cast them on the wall on the other side of the warehouse. If there are people outside the warehouse, from the windows on that wall, it will look like the warehouse there was a dark shadow flashing inside. After investigation, it was found that there was nothing unusual in the warehouse here, except that 2 cats settled here, which was a false alarm. Xiaopingyan and the others didn't find anything here, but over there in the Lingxi building, Cao Xinghua and Li Yunzhou made important discoveries.